Just doing these 2 exercises every day for 10 minutes is going to significantly improve your tone on the sax. Hey, my sax playing friend Alexander Matthias here from saxophonemasterclass.com. In today's lesson, I want to show you the fundamentals of the perfect saxophone tone. And I want to show you that it's not all about the mouthpiece, it's not all about the reed, it's not all about the ligature, and it's not even about the saxophone. There's so many other important factors that go into producing a great saxophone tone. And all of these factors have to do with you. So I'm going to train you today to focus on these different fundamental principles of the perfect saxophone tone using my B.E.T saxophone tone system. And I bet you any money this is going to improve your saxophone tone. So what does B.E.T of my saxophone tone system stand for? Well, B stands for breathing, E stands for embouchure, and T stands for throat. And I'm going to take you through what I mean by those 3 things in this video, starting with breathing. So if you're having trouble with getting enough breath while playing the saxophone, or maybe you're honking at those low notes and you want to get more control, or maybe in the high register you're starting to sound shrill and thin, well, these fundamental techniques are going to help you with all of that. These fundamental principles I'm going to teach you will even help you with stopping you squeaking on the sax, as well as give you the ability to play longer notes, longer tones while you're playing the saxophone. These exercises are also going to help with stopping you from tightening your embouchure and biting down on the mouthpiece, which is really common, especially for beginner saxophone players as you get up into the higher register. But before I get into that, I just wanted to let you know about my free guide called the Essential Saxophone Warm-Ups. And this is a free PDF you can download at saxophonemasterclass.com/warm-ups. And in that guide, I'm going to take you through all the different exercises I'm talking about today, as well as additional exercises to do with scales and technique. So make sure to download that. It's completely free, no strings attached. So when it comes to breathing, this is the foundation of a perfect saxophone tone. Breath is life, breath is energy, and you want to make sure that you're getting as much breath as possible while you're playing the saxophone, because this is what's going to give your tone much more life. You're going to be much more confident and much more consistent when you have control over your breath. So most of the time when we're talking, we're not really getting the most breath possible. We're only using about 60% capacity of what we can breathe in while we're talking. And we want to try and increase that to 70, 80, 90%. We want to get as much breath as possible while we're playing the saxophone. So when you're working on your breathing and your breath support, you want to just focus on breathing exercises. You don't actually want to use the rest of the instrument. You want to be able to isolate your breathing exercises so you can train your body and condition your body to breathe the correct way while you're playing the sax. And it all starts with taking breath from your abdominal area, which is where your diaphragm muscle is. So when you breathe in from your abdomen, from your belly, your diaphragm expands like a balloon. And you should actually see your belly stick out as you breathe in like this. So as you can see, I'm breathing in through my nose, breathing out through my mouth, and the air is filling up my abdominal area. And if you put your hand on your abdomen, you should feel it expanding and contracting. This is the kind of breath you want when you're playing the saxophone. If you're breathing in from your chest like this, you're creating a lot more tension in your upper body, which can be constricting for when you want to get a big full tone on the saxophone. So you want to avoid tensing up your shoulders or raising your shoulders. Just focus on bringing air in from your abdomen. And so this is where the energy comes from. This is where the power comes from, the support for you to be able to play the saxophone. It comes from your breath. So working on this exercise and training yourself to do this 5 times a day, 10 times a day is really important before you even pick up the saxophone. Now I have other exercises on this channel that will help you with developing this diaphragmatic breath, and I'm going to link to those at the end of this video and also in the description. So check those out at the end of this lesson. So now we're going to move on to embouchure. Embouchure is how you position your mouth on the reed and mouthpiece of the saxophone. And this is a really important thing to get right. And again, we want to isolate this and focus in on just using our embouchure without the rest of the saxophone. So the way we're going to do this is by actually taking the neck off the saxophone and just using the saxophone neck and mouthpiece to practice developing our embouchure muscles. So make sure you have your reed and mouthpiece and ligature correctly formed. I have another lesson on that goes through it step by step. This is also really important. You don't want to have the reed too high or too low on the mouthpiece. You want it just right. So make sure that is all set up correctly. And again, I have a lesson that goes through all of that step by step that I'll link to at the end of this video and in the description of this video as well. So once you have all of that set up, you then want to focus on the 5 steps of the perfect embouchure. And it all starts with just making a V sound with your lips like this. V, V. And you want to take note of where the top teeth meet your bottom lip. V, V. And that's about where you want to place the reed onto your lip, like this. Va. Now, where you place the reed is also important. You want to make sure that you're finding the point where the reed and mouthpiece meet. And that's going to be a great starting point for how much you should put your mouth over the mouthpiece. So a good thing to do is just literally look and see where the mouthpiece meets the reed. Put your finger there and put your mouth right up to your finger like that. So we're going to do a V sound again. Va. Place the reed right where your top teeth meet your bottom lip. Put it right up to where your finger is, which is where the reed meets the mouthpiece. And then the third step is to put your top teeth onto the mouthpiece. Then you want to seal your lips around the mouthpiece. And then you want to pull the sides of your mouth back very slightly. And that's the 5 steps of how to form the perfect embouchure on the mouthpiece and reed. So once you've gone through those 5 steps, you then want to remember your diaphragmatic breath. Take a deep breath from your abdomen and then blow with a firm embouchure and without biting down on the top of the mouthpiece. And this is a great embouchure exercise, just using the mouthpiece and neck if you want to practice getting consistency in your embouchure. Just hold a long tone for as long as you can, up to 8 or 10 seconds, and practice this 5 to 10 times after you've been practicing your breathing. Just doing these 2 exercises, the breathing exercises and the mouthpiece and neck exercises every day for 10 minutes is going to significantly improve your ability to get a great tone on the sax. But it doesn't stop there. We can actually continue working on our embouchure muscles by just using the mouthpiece. So we're going to take the mouthpiece off the neck, put the neck back on our saxophone, and we're just going to use the mouthpiece by itself. Now this is going to be significantly harder than using the neck as well, as there's a lot more resistance. It's a lot more difficult to get a tone just using the mouthpiece. So it might squeak a lot, it might not sound very good, but this is a great exercise to practice. So we're going to use the same technique. We're going to take a deep diaphragmatic breath. We're going to use those 5 steps to form the perfect embouchure around the mouthpiece, and we're going to blow for as long as we can, up to 8 seconds or more. So this can be really difficult. You might not get up to 8 seconds in full, but try to play a consistent note for as long as you can. Now, when you first start out with this exercise, it's probably going to sound something like this. It's not going to sound very focused, it's going to sound wavery, it might even squeak a little bit, and that's perfectly normal. So in order to develop your embouchure muscles, this is really showing you how steady your embouchure is, because the goal is to get it as steady as possible. Again, like this. Even there you can hear a little bit of wavering, but this is a good place to get to if you're trying to really improve your embouchure. It's going to be super hard. You're going to feel the need to bite down more, which is why you're going to need extra breath support from your abdomen, from your diaphragm. And this is an amazing exercise in order to improve your embouchure on the saxophone. So let's move on now to T, which is throat. So the throat is a very fascinating muscle that has incredible control over our tone on the saxophone. But it's also very confusing and very complicated. And the best way to really figure out how to manipulate your throat and how to change your throat in order to manipulate the sound, the tone of the sax, is to again just use the mouthpiece. So the technique I'm going to show you right now is called voicing, and it's the manipulation of the throat and the larynx in order to change the pitch of the tone. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to start by doing an E formation, E. I'm going to visualize the E vowel, E, and then I'm going to move down to an ah vowel, E, ah, E, ah. And you can feel your larynx dropping, you can feel your throat changing when you change from E to ah. E, ah, E, ah. Your larynx drops when you say ah. So I'm going to start with the E vowel and change to the ah vowel while I'm playing just the mouthpiece, and you're going to hear the pitch change. Take a listen. Okay, so I went E, ah. And this is what we call voicing. And getting control over our voice box like this is what's going to really improve our tone on the sax. So even just doing this exercise back and forth from E to ah to E is going to really help improve your tone and get more control over your voice box. So let me show you again what it sounds like going from E to ah to E to ah back and forth. So this is the manipulation of the throat. This is called voicing, and this is again really going to help with your tone, and you're going to notice an improvement right away if you start playing with the saxophone after doing these exercises for even just 5 minutes. It's really helping not only improve your embouchure muscles, but also improve your voicing technique, which is going to help you with being able to get a clear, round tone on any note on the saxophone, especially in the higher register. This exercise is also really helping you focus on getting a great breath support, which again is really important when you want to play those high notes and when you want to play the low notes on the saxophone. So that's just a quick overview of what the fundamentals of the perfect saxophone tone are. B.E.T, breathing, embouchure, and throat. And there's a ton more exercises you can do to improve all of these different principles of the B.E.T saxophone tone system. And again, I go into more detail on different warm-up exercises inside my free guide called Essential Saxophone Warm-Ups, and you can get that at saxophonemasterclass.com/warm-ups. So I really hope you enjoyed this lesson today. If you did, please comment below. Please tell me if there are any aha moments or if there's anything you didn't know before you watch this video. I really want to know if you see an improvement after practicing this B.E.T system and working on these different exercises. And if you want me to do more lessons like this on how to improve your saxophone tone, please let me know in the comment section as well. So remember, I put out lessons every single week on YouTube, so please subscribe, click that notification bell, and like this video if you really enjoyed today's lesson. Until next time, have a great week and happy playing.